Welcome to PLM 411, where we give you straight talk about how to accelerate and improve product innovation. My name is Jim Brown, President of TechClarity, and I'm joined today by Chad Jackson of Lifecycle Insights. Today we're going to talk to you about change management, and one of the things that we talked about in one of the earlier shows was that PLM really is something that can help companies save money, but also to accelerate and cut time out of their development cycles. One of the areas that we mentioned then was change management, because it's a very common problem companies face, and also a big improvement for an opportunity for improvement. Chad, I know you've done a lot of research on this area, so maybe why can you tell us a little bit about why change management is important to manufacturing?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, first off, it's a high volume activity within many manufacturers, right? So this is it's an activity and a process that a lot of people spend a lot of time on. But I think beyond that, there's a lot of very serious implications for it. So, there are some small changes, but there are big changes where if you don't notify the right people, if you don't get them involved, it can induce a lot of cost, a lot of unplanned cost, which is the worst type for a lot of companies. But on the other end, if you put a lot of scrutiny to this process, then you can just bog everything in product development down. And that, those two extremes, neither of them are good.
Yeah, well, and one of the things that I've seen too is that companies, when they don't think they have a handle on change management, they lose confidence. And what they can't do is then roll out incremental changes, small product enhancements to the market, small quality, changes. Yeah. And they batch them up and they wait for a long time and they bring them to market all at once, when really that can, sales can suffer, quality can suffer because of that. But why do companies struggle so much with change management?
Well, I think one issue that a lot of organizations run into is that there are different types of change. There are simple changes with small modifications that could be run through very quickly. And then there are very complicated changes where you need to look at the implications for the rest of the life cycle of the product, whether it's service or manufacturing or procurement. And then the other thing too, another big issue that a lot of people run into is, working against a single source of truth. If you're looking at different representations of the product, might be different versions, and different people are assessing that, and that can kind of lead you down the path to a bad decision. And then of course, when you talk about taking enterprise considerations into account, everybody really does need to be on the same page. You got to make sure that everybody's acting on the same data and kind of working in lockstep.
Yeah, well, and I think one of the things too is making the decision up front. Everybody needs to have the right information, but you also need to make sure people are on the same page on an outbound basis. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, because once you decide you want to make the change and they make the design change, you then need to kind of slip that into the ongoing stream of manufacturing, whether it's getting the right new configuration to manufacturing or getting procurement to buy the right parts or even suppliers. So disseminating the right information about the change and what's been modified is also very important. That's a really good point. Yeah,
and making sure that the change is synchronized, that everybody knows when it's going to cut over and that sort of thing. One of the big challenges is, every time we've done research on change management, what are the top tools people use? Email, spreadsheets, right? Absolutely. And you want to talk about being on the same page or not, you got 9 threads of email, you're certainly not going to know exactly what's going on. So PLM, this is a big area that PLM can help with. How have you seen companies use PLM to help with change management?
Actually, there's a few different areas, but actually, real quick, the change process is one of those few areas where the ROI for PLM is very well known. Yeah. And people have quantified it with hard dollars. So it's an opportunity a lot of organizations can go after, but standardizing a process. So it's kind of funny how many exceptions happen in a change process. Almost every change can kind of fall into that category. The other thing is supporting a multi-track process. Right. So being able to support very simple changes and accelerate those and empower individuals at staff level to really go fix it and get it done and get it out there and support agile changes. But for very complex changes, really putting a lot of scrutiny and due diligence into it and letting executives who have the power over, big numbers right, and hard costs make those decisions. So I think those are a couple other things. And then, of course, with email and documents, non-centralized documents, you risk, losing the email, deleting the document, working on different versions. So with the PLM system with workflows and a central repository, you can avoid a lot of those issues. Yeah, so there's a lot to gain.
Chad, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.